You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast is back at you. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
And we're here with heavy hearts tonight. We had some breaking news here recently. You know, it might be a little bit older news to you now, but we had something pretty bad happen in the pop culture world and the comic book world specifically. And it's going to hit our listeners pretty hard. But, you know, it's something we've got to talk about. It's the elephant in the room. Marvel Entertainment Chairman Isaac Perlmutter was named in an NYPD bribery trial.
Perlmutter. Perlmutter. I, for one, was devastated.
I don't feel good about that fake out.
I'm glad I encouraged you to do it.
According to the New York Daily News, they've been investigating NYPD Sergeant David Villanueva, and they're alleging that
Madre de Dios.
Of course, Isaac Perlmutter, if you're new to the podcast, is a real life supervillain. The guy who's run Marvel for many years. He's high up in the government now. He's running the Veterans Affairs Committee out of Mar-a-Lago. He's pulled the strings behind the scenes at Marvel for a long time.
Carved the turkey this Thanksgiving.
He is our favorite villain.
As far as
Arch nemesis.
So there's a new report alleging his assistant, Marisol Garcia, worked with a police officer to acquire a gun license renewal in New York City. Which he lives in Florida, but I'm assuming he's in New York a lot on business. So presumably
that's where the Marvel universe happens, you know.
That's true. And there's so many aliens and stuff you want to be packing. So presumably using power and status to expedite the process through some illegal quid pro quo. So this Villanueva guy worked in the NYPD's license division, and he testified under oath that he helped get Perlmutter. He renewed his license to carry a firearm in exchange for tickets to a number of Marvel movie premieres.
Ooh.
So,
yeah.
New York has very tough gun laws, so I'm sure there are hoops to jump through, especially if you live out of state, especially if you're a supervillain on record.
Right. Yeah. People are going to be looking closely.
What a supervillain thing to do. He's got a dirty cop.
Right. On the application, it asks you if you have a theme song.
Yes.
It's a big tell.
So they've been looking into this guy for a while. He's worked for the NYPD between 2005 and 2016. So there's a lot of other stuff. This just was one that came out in all the testimony. And he testified under oath that he did it. So I don't know what he's trying to get out of it. And he did a lot of, various bribes and things that, like I said, this isn't the only thing the guy did, but it's the only one we care about.
Right.
But they're saying Perlmutter himself is reportedly not in legal trouble. He probably didn't even know. He's just a rich guy saying, get me my license, and it all went through. And it's unclear if his assistant, Garcia, is going to face any legal trouble or not. So if it's just the cop who did the bad stuff.
Then he doesn't care.
Who's the real-life kingpin?
Perlmutter. He'll still sleep well at night. He doesn't care.
All right, that buried our main story, the passing of Mr. Stanley Martin Lieber. Stan Lee has left this world a better place than he found it.
True story.
Born December of 1922, passed on November 12th this year.
That was a long time.
Yep.
His wife, Joan, passed away in 2017, and he has one surviving daughter, J.C., Joan Celia Lee.
Yeah, so it's been all over the place, and
And there was a lot of, there's huge outpouring. You never know. Mm-hmm. He's famous, but, comic book famous is different than, than real world famous. So you never know what's going to happen. But
10 years ago, he wouldn't have had...
No.
People wouldn't have known who he was. People would, but...
The general public.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, there was a little bit, as you want to call it, gatekeeping or whatever. In my mind, I started reading all the comments. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to miss his cameos. His cameos were hilarious. We love the cameos. Right. And I started getting that, like, come on. That's not what this guy is. This was a fun little cherry on top toward the end of his life.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Tribute to him.
But then, who cares? Like, he touched those people in that way, and that's wonderful that these people would never have known who he was anyway.
Right.
So, he touched a lot of us in different ways. I went through and did a very abbreviated bibliography, we'll call it. Amazing Spider-Man, number 1 through 100, and some various ones after that. Avengers, 1 through 35. Captain America, number 100 through 141, when it took over from Tales of Suspense.
Yep.
Daredevil, most of the issues between 1 and 50. Fantastic Four, number 1 through 114, which was for the longest time the record. Lee and Kirby, 114 straight issues of just those two guys. Do you know who broke it?
Bagley Bendis.
Yes, correct. On Ultimate Spider-Man. Hulk, dozens of issues. Journey into Mystery, dozens of issues. That's where Thor premiered. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, 28 some issues. Silver Surfer, 18 issues in the 60s and 70s. Strange Tales with Doctor Strange and Nick Fury and the Human Torch. Tales to Astonish about Ant-Man, Submariner, Hulk. Dozens and dozens of issues. Tales of Suspense with Iron Man, Captain America, and the X-Men 1 through 19. So those are the highlights on the man's resume. Countless issues the guy wrote. And I did a quick rundown of the characters he created.
Yeah.
This is maybe a 10th of them. Timing. Abomination, Absorbing Man, Ancient One, Angel, Annihilus, Ant-Man, Atuma, The Avengers, The Awesome Android, Balder the Brave, Batroc the Leaper, Beast, The Beetle, Black Bolt, Black Knight, Black Panther, Black Widow, Blob, Brother Voodoo, Captain Marvel, Peggy Carter, Sharon Carter, The Chameleon, Cyclops, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Dormammu, Dr. Druid, Dum Dum Duggan, Egghead, the Ant-Man villain.
That's right.
Eco the Living Planet, Electro, Enchantress, Executioner, Falcon, Fantastic Four, Fin Fang Foom, Jane Foster, Nick Fury, Galactus, Giant Man, Gladiator, Goliath, Gorgon, Jean Grey, Groot, Hawkeye, Heimdall, Hela, Hercules, Happy Hogan, Hulk, Human Torch, Iceman, Immortus, Impossible Man, Inhumans, Invisible Woman, Iron Man, J. Jonah Jameson, Jarvis, Gabe Jones, Rick Jones, Juggernaut, Kazar, Kang the Conqueror, Karnak, Kingpin, Claw, Kraven the Hunter, the whole Kree race, all of the Kree. The Lizard, Lockjaw, Loki, Willie Lumpkin, the Mailman, Madam Mask, Magneto, Mandarin, Mastermind, Alicia Masters, Aunt May, Medusa, Mephisto, Millie the Model, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Hyde, MODOK, Mole Man, Molecule Man, Molten Man, Baron Mordo, Mysterio, Count Nefaria, Foggy Nelson, the Night Nurse, Doc Ock, Odin, Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn, Karen Page, Pepper Potts, Puppet Master, the Purple Man, Hank Pym, Quicksilver, Rhino, Robbie Robertson, Ronan the Accuser, Betty Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, Sandman, Scarlet Witch, Scorpion, Sentinels, Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos, She-Hulk, Sif, Silver Surfer, Sinister Six, Jasper Sitwell, Skrulls, Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy, Stiltman, Stripperella, Baron Strucker, Super Adaptoid, Surtur, the Swordsman, Glenn Talbot, The Thing, Flash Thompson, Thor, Tiger, Toad, Bolivar Trask, Triton, Uncle Ben, Volstagg, Vulture, Adam Warlock, Wasp, The Watcher, Mary Jane, Whiplash, Wyatt Wingfoot, Wonder Man, Wong, The Wrecker, all the X-Men, Professor X, Yancey Street Gang, Yondu, Baron Zemo.
That's a pretty good job.
So A to Z...
You didn't stumble much at all there. That was pretty good. I feel like you practiced that.
That was my first try at that. So yes, basically name a Marvel character pre-1970s, and Stan was one of the co-creators, along with many of his artists: Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, John Romita.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I heard it, it didn't take long for me to get a little teared up thinking about it, and just...
There were reports out there. I think I saw something a few days before that, or maybe a week or two before, about, Stan's not doing well, or that type of thing.
Yeah, I had
come out in the news. Yeah.
I mean, you knew in the last year he had not been as good as he was.
And that made it a lot sadder that you knew these last few years he had lawsuits going on.
Mm-hmm.
There were stories coming out about elder abuse. If you remember, one of the nurses had a sexual harassment suit against him. So, like, these weren't the most peaceful, twilight years. He was dealing with a lot of crap.
If you live that many years, you're gonna have stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, you see the articles, they're the praising articles. Stan Lee, the great hero we've lost. And there's always like, well, he hogged credit a lot. So, yeah, you want to tell the full story, but at this point...
Did you just hear that list? That's what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, he shared those creations with a lot of people, but he was a part of all those, and the other people were not always the same person. I mean, And after this many years, that's what this became. I heard, I think it was Scott Lobdell, who wrote X-Men for a long time in the 90s, was talking about meeting Stan Lee and the couple run-ins he had with him. And he said, going to some Comic-Con or something, he was going to the premiere of Titanic with James Cameron, which, back in the 90s, he's a known person again, but not a celebrity. Mm-hmm. And he made a joke. He's like, oh, nobody probably knew who I was on the red carpet. And Lobdell said, they probably thought you were the last surviving member of the Titanic. And Stan goes, that's great. I'm going to use that next time I tell the story. Right. So that wasn't like he stole my joke. Stan was a showman.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Stan created the best possible look for both the corporate people, the people he worked with, the characters he loved. He was there to make everyone look good. Mm-hmm. And if it involved stretching the truth a little bit, I mean, I honestly don't think any of it was ever malicious. He wasn't ever he wasn't Bob Kane, who legitimately, tried to, take credit and steal things.
What he was doing was benefiting everybody.
Yes.
I think, I'm pretty sure my first introduction to the man was actually at a pretty young age in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, doing the voiceover and the introductions. And that's how I think I knew who Stan Lee was. Yeah. Because I wasn't a Marvel Comics reader. I'm not a Marvel Comics reader.
I can't wait to tell everybody what he's wearing.
I wore
a Spider-Man t-shirt.
This is the only Spider-Man thing I own.
And
I don't even own a Spider-Man shirt.
This old ratty,
he doesn't like Spider-Man. He comes in here wearing one.
It's old ratty Spider-Man shirt I wore just for you guys.
I like it. What I think, it was the early 80s, like 81 or 82 when I discovered all of this. When I took that kid's box of comics. I realized there was something other than Archie comics. And, I would read every word of those comics. I'd read about every seahorse I could mail away for. But I think, one thing I take, my parents would probably like to think they gave me any moral compass I have at all. But I honestly attribute it to Stan Lee, but besides his soapboxes, just the general, his writing of the stories and the acceptance of everyone, and how people were different, mutants, and such, and the message that came across in the comics,
at that time,
put instilled in me that hatred of racism and things like that, and I've so valued him. I loved his voice, and it's so crazy. Nowadays, like you said, so many people know who he is because of the last 10 years in the movies, and you can be like, kind of, oh, he was he was ours, and now he's everybody's, but that's all right. I'm glad that. He should have got that bonus to have been able to live that long. Can you imagine if he died 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Jack Kirby died in
94. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's the exact, it's just so.
As comics were in their nadir and just like, and they were barely an art form anymore. It kind of cratered creatively.
It's so great to see someone, a lot of people don't the vast majority don't get to live long enough to see something they created become something like this. And he did. He got to see it become the biggest thing nobody would have ever believed.
So yeah, if you don't know his story, just very basically, I think it was his uncle was Martin Goodman, who ran Timely Comics at the time. So as a teenager, Stan got a job in the office. So, Jack Kirby and all those guys were already there, were adults making a living doing art, and Stan was basically the coffee boy. And then comics, no one cared. As long as they put one out on time, got their 10 cents from the kid, it was not, they weren't striving for great art back then. Right. So it was just the job.
Away,
yeah.
It was thrown away.
Yeah. And especially, you just recycled it or give it to the next kid So people came and went, and Stan was just there the whole time and worked his way up. And because no one cared, they just let him write them. And then he started editing, and then he just started basically running the whole place because no one cared. Just let Stan do it. He likes it. And of course, this famous story, he wanted to be the great American novelist, and eventually he was going to quit comics and become a quote-unquote serious writer, which is why he used the pen name. He was saving his real name for, his great... Right. When he finally, broke some ground.
Right.
But yeah, so Stan toiled away doing horror comics and romance comics and westerns and sci-fi and all kinds of stuff throughout the 40s and 50s. And then in the early 60s is when things really broke. So Stan didn't start out right with the Fantastic Four in 1961, but that's where he broke the ground, because we've had comics for decades before that, but it was, pardon me, DC fans, they were the kind of stale DC heroes.
Easy.
Who were, they were cops and policemen and scientists. And when they got their powers, well, now we must save humanity. And it was just sort of very simple morality lessons. And Stan completely changed it. He said, well, what if you got powers and it sucked? And that's, the thing. He's cursed with the powers. He bickers with Johnny. There's kind of a love triangle with, flirting with Sue. And, these weren't the most altruistic. At the end of the day, they ended up saving things, but it wasn't always smooth sailing. And then Peter Parker, as a teenagers were sidekicks. The hero was a big strapping man and might have a kid sidekick. Who in the world, who in their right mind would have a teenager be the hero? Well, they did it, and it worked. And he just, hit after hit after hit. The X-Men, the great, heroes that people hated and threw tomatoes at. Daredevil was blind. It just, character after character with these amazing Shakespearean origins, and just changed comics forever. Everyone has been chasing that since.
I'm just enraptured. I just want to hear more about it. I
tell us more.
Yeah, I love him. Okay. Well, I gotta ask. Did you ever meet him?
No, there was some con he was supposed to be at maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that's probably the one that I almost. And it was super expensive too. You're looking at $100, I'm sure, to get something signed or meet him.
I think, the photos were like 200.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
So I signed up for a photo and an autograph.
Oh, you did. Okay.
And I'm like, well, this is probably my only chance.
Right.
And then he was sick at that point and had to cancel, and they refunded the money.
Right.
And I was like, that's a bummer. But then part of me, I've seen hundreds of those photos. They all look kind of the same. They just kind of propped him in a chair, and people, like there's the backdrop behind, and the fanboys
they cycle through,
And it's like, I'm okay not having that be my image of him as kind of a shriveled older guy. Like, I like the boisterous, Excelsior Stan. I'm okay with him being a myth to me. I didn't need the real thing.
Yeah, I considered it that it might have been earlier than that. I don't know. At some point, it was just too expensive at the time. But I don't know. Even if you would have got a couple words from him, or if he'd have been, I don't know. I feel like I wished I would have met him at some point, but
yeah, you hear any story anyone has of me running into him at a Comic Con or whatever. Just, it was always about how quick he was on his feet and how funny he was and how gracious he was with, those lines that you get 2 seconds and go. But, there are all kinds of stories about how he helped kids out and stuff. And I love the story Bendis tells. And there was some big, Superman anniversary in Cleveland, and Stan was one of the guests in there. And Brian was a volunteer before he was, he was like a high school kid. He said, Stan gets off the bus and goes, Brian! He's like, well, how does he know me? He's like, you got a name tag on, schmuck. And like, he's like, that was the best moment of my life.
That's hilarious. So, is this the first one we're doing of a comic?
Might be.
Yeah,
We're gonna do. We're gonna
I think
do.
we have to.
We're gonna do. It's fitting. It is fitting. We are going to do our first comic creator one job.
One job forever?
Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm gonna do it, okay?
You tossers! You had one job to do!
Now it would be too big of an effort to try to pick an issue that he wrote and say that's my favorite Stan Lee issue. Maybe worth it, but we don't have that kind of time. So we'll just pick one of those 1,000 characters you just named.
Do you need to hear him again?
Maybe.
Oh, we know who he's picking. He brought his shirt.
That's right. My all-time favorite.
I said, and even though there's a few glaring characters who aren't on this list that he, Wolverine or the Punisher or even Captain America was created before Stan.
Right.
But if you think about it, Captain America was one of those generic DC type characters. He was the stalwart American who fought for justice. It was Stan who put him in the ice and brought him back, made him a man out of time, made him this 40s icon that didn't, fit into the 60s. That was all Stan.
Right.
So even though he didn't technically create Cap, he put his stamp on it as much as any other character around. So
absolutely.
You could say that about so many characters that even if he didn't work on it, but again, he was. We never talked about the Marvel method, which is how Stan could write every book out there. You either do a quick plot or a paragraph, or you just say, "Hey, what if Spider-Man fights the Vulture this issue?" And Kirby would go draw it, or Ditko would go draw it, or whoever. And then Stan would do all the dialogue. So, yeah, Stan, there weren't a lot of other writers at Marvel. If Marvel was putting it out, he was probably the writer of it for many, many years. So this would be a difficult choice. Everyone's an icon.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to easily do this, though.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are going to pick the same thing.
I think it would be silly to do like I totally agree that he made Captain America what he is, he and Kirby, but he didn't create him. So let's pick somebody he created, actually. And, maybe I'm inspired by the shirt.
He's going to sway us that direction.
Mm-hmm. You have a Hank Pym shirt on underneath that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There are so many characters, that I love, and that whole list has tons of great, huge characters, Daredevil, and on and on and on. But then the iconic Marvel character is Spider-Man, and I don't see how you could pick anything else.
Actually,
I don't see how anyone but Cliff could.
Yeah.
And wear that shirt and tell me a different story.
No, I think there's a case to be made for the Fantastic Four. Just me personally, I have a love of kind of oddball team ups or oddball teams of, DC or Marvel or whoever. It's just what I've always been drawn to. I like the makeup of that.
And they were basically challengers of the unknown.
Yeah.
Like DC had done the 4-person explorer team well before
This
Marvel.
is exactly why I don't like the Fantastic Four. Like, I would never pick them because when I got into comics, they were the boring team to me. And it is so right. It is so fitting that we're like, yes, they're DC.
But I'm saying they're DC, but done well.
But without the Fantastic Four, do we really get, the big inspiration for the Avengers or for the Justice League or for any of those, I think they've all kind of got...
he came up with the team idea.
I think there's a lot of credit to be given to that.
Well, they slapped the world's greatest comic magazine on that book it was still in the single digits.
Yeah.
Like, that was a little bit of, like, but it was the Marvel's best-selling book and the most acclaimed book and, like, their flagship title for a long time. And I've just gone through and reread, Marvel had a sale at some point, and I picked up the Fantastic Four Omnibus and the Spider-Man Omnibus of those original stories. So I've read the first two, it's probably 60-some issues of Fantastic Four, and it's great. It's terrific. I went through that video a while back when Black Panther came out, and like, it was just issue after issue, concept after concept, just big ideas and interesting stuff going on. And Fantastic Four has had a lot of good runs over the years. Like, John Byrne did some amazing stuff in the 80s. Mark Waid and Wieringo did really good stuff in the 2000s. Jonathan Hickman had a wonderful run more recently. So, yeah, they're an easy people to overlook, and Marvel can even cancel them. And, you know, they're not on comic shelf for 5 years or however long Perlmutter kept them off the shelf. But, yeah, Fantastic Four, you don't want to sleep with. They haven't had a great movie, so maybe people overlook it a little bit. But Fantastic Four are terrific.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think they're, you know, we could say, you know, a lot of stuff about Daredevil and stuff like that too, but I think there was a lot of uniqueness, a lot of, that was the first, you know, I know everybody's going to say Spider-Man. I get that. But just throwing, you know, if you're going to throw another name out there, I think, you know, that's.
You wouldn't lean Iron Man at all? I know you're a big Iron Man fan.
I'm a movie Iron Man.
Right.
Okay.
I'm a huge Avengers fan, obviously, but I was not a huge Iron Man fan or Thor.
No one was till the movies.
Right.
The movies made him.
Finally made them cool.
The movies made him an A-list character.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, Spider-Man is so, that he's the logo. I mean, he's the Jerry West. It's just like, such a, you know, you were saying last time about Shakespearean, you know, character. He's just so iconic, and I love Spider-Man. Every time I see like a cool, amazing Spider-Man cover, I think, I wish I always collected Spider-Man from the time I got into it, because I wish I was a Spider-Man guy. You know, I so many things over the years, and I just think, you know, that's such a classic character. I would feel so good about, you know, putting that in for us.
Yeah, and I had just been reading. I'd had that omnibus for a long time, and then when Ditko died, I started reading it, just an issue a week or so. Just, you know, I didn't read it straight through, and then now I'm almost done with it, and Stan passes away, so I'm like, ugh, it's got extra significance now. And I swear the last one I was reading, and it's got the letters, columns, and everything in there, so you're following along with the readers who are like, this guy's crazy, we love this guy, he's so funny. The last issue, Aunt May finds his costume and throws it out. It's like, you're not going to a costume contest dressed like that nasty Spider-Man, and he has to play along because he can't say it's mine.
Give me back my doilies.
So so he doesn't have time to sew a new one, so he goes to a costume shop and buys like a Halloween costume Spider-Man. It's like, hey, this looks pretty good, and he jumps up on the roof and it like starts riding up, and it starts like, you can see his belly and his socks like droop down.
That's Jordan. This is Jordan.
Yeah.
So imagine a hero, a stately, you know, Superman whose socks won't stay up. I mean, that's amazing. That's that real world, just the spark that he had. And yeah, Spider-Man is my number one choice by a mile.
So Cliff picked the Fantastic Four, and we're taking Spider-Man. So permanently engraved with the Ka-Pow stone tablets of one jobs is Stan Lee with his creation of Spider-Man. That's all he ever did. All that other stuff, permanent. Never happened.
Go read a DC.
Sorry, Scripperella.
Oh, wait a minute. I have one ready. Let's see.
Oh, and I did want to throw out feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys ever watch the Who Wants to Be
I did.
I
watched it. Yeah.
2 seasons, like a reality show where they had people who really wanted to be superheroes come, and many of them were like they wanted to be actors, they wanted to be famous, they wanted to be on TV. Well, the guy who won the first season feedback, he really wanted to be a superhero. He was like so genuine about it. And I met him at a Comic-Con once. I've met feedback. I never met Stan Lee.
But you met feedback.
I met feedback.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, close enough. Bye-bye, Funky Flash Man. Oh, man, so many. Anyway, Spider-Man's the perfect pick for it, and I'm super excited about adding that to our book. It's the least we can do, you know.
I see you're trying to add extra gravitas. Like, we have so much gravitas with the one job. Like, and trying to take it up a notch for Stan Lee.
Holds a lot of weight.
Well, I mean, I am. I was like, that's like a huge name. I'll probably write that at the top of the list. Top of the page, up in the header.
Right above Anthony
Stan Lee,
Michael Hall.
Spider-Man. Right. Michael Hall's at the bottom. The Breakfast Club. We did it, guys. I'm super excited about that.
But like I said, it was just nice this week to hear people sharing their memories and their anecdotes and their well wishes and all that stuff. So, you know, Stan's the last, you know, all those old previous generations, they're all gone.
Right.
So Stan was really kind of the last one of that generation, from Julius Schwartz and, you know, and all those Golden Age guys, Will Eisner, all the Marvel artists, like that, you know, we've lost them. And so, I don't know.
I honestly didn't think, I just was never expecting it. I don't think I was ever going to be ready for this. Which is hilarious. He was like 90 billion years old, and I'm like, what? I'm devastated. Too soon. Well, but I do applaud the fact that I saw that outpouring, and there's no way anybody else could live to be that old and still have people impressed by them at, you know, that age. They'd be yelling loudly about all the super terrible things they did, and people just murmur about him. So let's lighten things up with some other stuff. Let's talk about some gaming.
Challenge your imagination to come alive and to battle with the creatures of Dungeons and Dragons.
52!
You shot my battleship.
I got a bingo! What do I win?
It's Operation the Wacky Doctor's game where you're the Wacky Doctor. Batteries not included.
I blew it. My turn.
Shall we play a game?
On the same subject, we went and played some trivia.
Oh.
He forgot about that. I was like, he forgot. Jordan, I woke up last week and I needed to sleep before work. I sleep like a half hour and I wake up and look at my phone.
Your spidey senses were tingling.
Yes, clearly. I was like, I feel like somebody messaged me or something. I look at it and Jordan has messaged. It's Marvel. It's in honor of Stanley dying. It's Marvel night at trivia. Like, I was like, crap, I'm going to have to get in the phone booth.
So this is the pizza restaurant that does the weekly trivia, and it's not even pop culture. There's a lot of history, and you know. It's not,
God! No, there's a lot of Indy 500. Geography.
So my brother, Coach Mayer, and his wife were wanting to go. They've been talking about, well, when's a good week for just us to go? He's like, you can come if you want. I'm like, okay, cool. I was debating. Okay, yeah, I can go do some trivia. Right. And then you're supposed to check their Facebook page. They give away an answer before. Mm-hmm. And there it is in black and white. In honor of Stan Lee, we're going to do all Marvel. I was like, hold the phone. We're play Thunder. We're walking in the door.
He came. When Jordan came in, it was like there were saloon doors. He pushed them open. Everybody stopped and stared. Dropped their shot glasses. There was a big to do.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that message, I checked out. I was like, I'm no help.
Oh, well,
Jesse knows how this goes.
I'm gonna go. We'll get into slightly more detail. When I go and get, not bury the lead. This was our first perfect score. It's the first perfect score we've ever witnessed, and it was, of course, us.
Right.
They weren't gimmies.
No.
They were not gimme questions. I honestly expected super
easy
gimme movie questions.
Although, it was also the only time I've seen multiple teams leave before the end. I think it was the second question. I hear, is Team 7 still here? Where'd Team 7 go? Team 7 bolted.
Right,
And then as I had another half hour, another team leave.
Yeah. They knew their goose was cooked.
Peel out.
So I think it went from like 10 to either 6 or 7 by the end of the night.
Right.
Who was left?
Yeah, we changed. There was 3 questions that we actively changed the answer from what they had.
Mm-hmm.
We would go up and say, that's not the answer.
You went full nerd on them, didn't you?
We were like, that's a no.
Technically.
Right. We definitely... What I remember specifically was, the question was, what... in issue Amazing Spider-Man, issue 236... Is that right? 36 or 38?
Yeah, 236.
236, I know what they did, but in 236, what... national tragedy was this about? Was it a tribute to, or whatever? And it was 9/11. What other tribute would it be? But we went up.
Yeah, immediately I'm like,
that's all right.
36.
Right.
Which I said it's probably volume.
It was
2,
volume 2. Yeah. So whatever.
And then when they said, they reread the question and were like, Spider-Man 36, and I heard somebody go, "No, what? Wait." I was like, that made a big difference.
They knew
That's
it.
why I went up there and said that.
I
said that. I was like, you guys, it was volume 2, number 36, and they hated it because that was already like the second or third question we were correcting them on.
I think it was the second or third question was about this character and his Howling Commandos.
Yeah,
blah blah blah.
And
blah.
I was like, Nick Fury, and I went up there and the guy shook his head no, and I thought he was talking to somebody else because
you're like, you don't say no.
Oh no, you did not. And he was like, that's not right. I was like, you need to get your phone back out, buddy. It is Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos. Well, what he was going on was the first Avenger, Captain America.
In the movie,
wow.
They
had to change their questions after they would ask them they're like, actually, okay, we've been corrected. They hated us. They were super upset, and that was what we were going for.
Yeah, that's what we were laughing. By the end of the night, they're like, they're never doing this again.
No. No. That's what it is, though, now. In the last 10 years, everybody thinks they're a Marvel expert.
Yeah.
And then we show up. Then the saloon doors open.
We should have named our team the Gatekeepers.
Yeah.
That's right. You want to come in here?
So how did everyone else stay
when we
fair?
went into the last question, it was a 3-way tie.
Yeah,
really?
There were several people who had gotten them all. So and not people who shop in my store. So I'm not sure where they're getting all this comic knowledge. I didn't recognize anybody.
But the last question was matching up the colors of the Infinity Stones with what stones they were.
Oh, so
what the names of them were. So it was movies.
They gave us all, the Soul Stone, the Power Stone. They gave us all that, and they gave us 6 colors. You just had to match them.
Oh, okay.
But we bet it all.
Are they the same in the movies? As they're different, aren't they?
Yeah. But the thing was, this was if the crowd, which would mostly just be movie people, had the ability. I think
they said specifically
from the movie.
Yeah, it was specifically. Yeah, you're right. Anyway.
But we regained that coupon. We got a large pizza coming back.
So, yeah, well, I don't know what the perfect score was. 160? Is that right?
Yeah, 80 times 2, 160.
Yeah, I like how you act like I can do that. I did not know how many. Anyway, yeah, it was very satisfying for us to have got all those right. And like I said, they were not a bunch of gimme questions. And so it was nice that it wasn't just a cakewalk to the end. Anyway, that was great. Some more gaming news. I've been playing Red Dead. I probably played like 50 hours of it, of the new one. And everybody's complaining that you have to ride your horse around a lot. Well, guess what? I like riding my horse around a lot. I like petting it and feeding it. And, you have to do all it. It's not like it used to be. You actually have to feed your horse and pat it and calm it down and do all these things. Well, I like my freaking pretty horses until I have to make room in my stall and lay dynamite all around them and blow them up so I can get me a horse. It's a weird game, guys. Super weird. It's got a few bugs, but that's what I love about it.
So you seem to still be into it.
Yeah.
50 hours hasn't dulled
and,
it.
I'm doing a lot of the extra things now. I kind of burnt through some of the story, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm only at like 40% of the actual story, and now I've kind of slowed down and started doing the side things, trying to do hunting and all that kind of stuff. So, trying to make it last longer, and it's good. Got all kinds of cool horses. Killed all the dumb ones. And then we played some Dragon Age. We had old original Jesse came back for his second guest starring session.
Klimt
Clattenburg came back, and he had a rough sesh, guys. His goat Steve got ate by a dragon. And that's bad. And what was funny was, they've never even seen a dragon in this game. We've been playing for 4 years. It's called Dragon Age. We've been playing for 4 years. I like the slow.
That's the Game of Thrones method. Like,
right.
Tease the dragon.
I totally have drug it out forever. Seriously. 4 years. Nobody in the main group has died, and they never saw a dragon. And then in Jesse's first session, we had a character die. In his second session, we finally saw a dragon. He thought he saw a dragon at the beginning of the session. He called it a winged rabbit because it was in the garden. Anyway, Jesse's a funny guy. And then and his goat got killed, and his brother got killed. So he had a rough time. And then
that sounds like a bad day.
Yeah, and then he got kidnapped at the end. So Jesse's gone, and we're officially naming the search. Klimt Clattenburg is out there somewhere. We're calling it the search for Jesse, and so that's their goal now. Whatever.
I feel like that's what we call this podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Search for Jesse's. That's right. Search for Jesse's. That's the name of the show.
Like and share 5 stars.
We are. So now the next few months we're searching for Jesse. So
months, just months or weeks?
I like to throw it around. One of the players asked me tonight, "Is anybody coming this session?" I was like, "We have a special guest." They're like, "Is it Jesse? Is it Jesse?" I was like, "Well, if you find him, it will be." So. I just like to imagine Jesse will stay with you. He's in the basement now.
You give him a spare room.
He is being super quiet downstairs right now. He can come up at any more. You find him, he'll be here. But I explained it to Jesse. I was like, Jesse, if they find you, you'll come walk in the door, and it will blow their minds. Trust me. I was like, so it's going to be super cool. He's way into it. He's just glad I didn't kill him off. He wants to come back. So it's definitely going to happen. So anyway, we're going to have a new special guest this weekend.
Who?
We're going to have Hamish. I was kidding. Jordan Lowe is going to play some RPG.
My first time ever.
It's going to be great. I'm going to go all Jughead on you.
So he sent me, I'm a dwarf.
Yeah, so
and he looked like a short Brendan Gleeson from Braveheart. So I wanted to name him Hamish. Seth doesn't say that's not really a dwarven name. He can name the goat Steve, but I can't be Hamish.
You can be whatever you want to be. Anyway, so we're gonna play that in a couple of days. We'll fill you guys in next episode.
Or I said I would just be Brendan Gleeson's son, Donald.
That would be a great name. You should do that. Anyway, I can't wait to get it all set up tomorrow. Are you nervous?
I have no clue what to expect.
I'm lighting a candle.
That's the only thing I do expect is candles.
All right.
And ab grease.
You're going to plop. These guys are going to be sitting here, and you're going to plop into the bunker.
Where'd that ladder come from?
All right, guys, let's do some movies.
Save Martha! Puny God.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm Batman.
Kneel before Zod! On the roof! said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
Hey, the Joker laugh reminds me, you saw they have an official title for Birds of Prey?
Well, I saw something about that, but what is it now?
It was weird.
Yeah, February 7th, 2020. So we got a little while. We got a little ways till it comes out. The title has officially, there's no colon, but there is an...
there will be, by the way.
What do you call that?
Parentheses.
There you go. Yeah. Birds of Prey, parenthesis, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I knew it was very Harley.
That is the actual movie title.
I like it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And it's directed by Kathy Yan, who I had never heard of, so I clicked on her name. This is only her second feature film. She's done a couple of shorts, but she did a movie called Dead Pigs that had Zazie Beetz in it. It was Domino from Deadpool 2. But this is a brand new filmmaker making a pretty marquee title.
Yeah, why not?
Have you seen the cast? Does everybody know who's in that movie?
I forget.
Margot Robbie is Harley.
Yeah.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the Huntress. Journey Smollett Bell is Black Canary. Rosie Perez is Renee Montoya.
I did see that. I remember that. Yeah, the question.
Ella J. Basco, I don't know who that is Cassandra Cain. And Ewan McGregor is the Black Mask.
I did see Ewan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Who's
interesting.
the Black Mask? Tell me all about him.
Kind of a crime boss, right?
Yeah, Batman villain.
Where's something?
Yeah, a black mask.
A something?
A something.
I'll set you up, Cliff, to share your DC knowledge.
No, he's a mid-card Batman villain. He's been in a lot of stories. A lot of the recently seems like a lot of the animated movies he'll have a little bit part in there. But yeah, mob boss, crime boss, all that stuff. He's a Batman villain.
Cool.
So,
yeah, it sounds like what the emancipation. That sounds like she's left the Joker. And
right.
Yeah.
Cool.
We can guess the plot, I guess.
Yeah, I saw I shared with you guys the other day the Aquaman movie. There's going to be you'll be able Amazon Prime members can see it early in select theaters. I thought that was pretty cool.
You got to go to Columbus.
I'm sure you do, but I mean that's kind of a neat thing.
Have they selected our theater?
Yeah, they did that with a couple other things.
Did they?
They can't make me do this, right?
No.
A drone's going to come pick you
up.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah. I'm afraid to go outside for fear I have to watch Aquaman. Yeah, I saw the preview before I watched something a couple weeks ago, and like a full 2.5 minute preview or whatever, and I decided in that 2.5 minutes that I was not going to see Aquaman.
Oh man, this was a movie I thought was it. I expected to be utter crap, but but their 5.5 minute, they put out there. I was like, yeah,
maybe that's it. 2 minutes, yeah, crap.
No,
5 minutes, that's where it gets good.
That's the sweet spot.
2 hours, kill yourself.
That's the sweet spot.
It just looks not great to me. I want it to be good. He's just so.
If you hear a lot of buzz and positive reviews,
if people like it, I'll go. I'll be on vacation after Christmas, and if everybody's saying it's great, you guys say it's good, I'll go watch it. But
Michael's going to call and be like, "Let's go watch it." And
he's just just it. The only reason I saw Justice League was because of that. He was like, "I'll pick you up."
Yeah,
we're all going, that type of thing.
He'll have his orange shirt on.
We were all gonna get some beers and wings before. I was like, "Okay, now I'm listening." Then we went and saw it, and the screen was like falling off the wall, and it was a terrible experience.
Michael was sobbing the whole time.
Oh yeah, I was sick. But he did a few burpees and got over it. But anyway, if I hear it's great, I'll go. He's just so bro-y. I don't like bro-y Aquaman. I don't dislike him. Like, you look at that guy and I think he ought to be something.
Yeah, he was never what would have been
he
the
direction
direction
have been my
I
pick for
went.
Aquaman, but
what
he should be something. Aquaman.
Yeah.
He should have been.
Right. I was never big into the 90s Aquaman with the hook hand and the beard and all that. I like that classic 70s ride the seahorse.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I'm telling you, that's what we're going to get by the end of it. He's got the orange shirt and the green pants and the fins.
I've already ordered the seahorse.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I saw Black Klansman.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
It's in my queue.
Yeah, cool. It's not bad. Spike Lee, Denzel Washington's son, something Washington.
Something Washington.
Senior Washington.
Senior. Junior.
Junior Washington.
Junior Washington. Write that down.
And Kylo Ren is in there too. It's pretty good. I liked it. I think I was telling you guys I wished I would have saw it in the theater. Sold it. It was a fine movie, whatever. I don't, it's not going to be like way up on my list or anything this year. But the epilogue would have been like, I mean, it was a punch in the gut just watching in my living room, but it would have been something in the theater. Like I was trying to picture what that would have been like in the theater because it almost brought me to tears sitting in my home. And you can, I'm going to go ahead and tell you because it's not a surprise really. It's about racism, the whole movie. And at the end, they show just some real world footage of what we've had to deal with in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And as much as you think, yeah, to really see it after watching that movie and really see it, I can only imagine what it would look like in a movie theater, seeing this news footage. And what it would, it just would shut everybody up.
Well, but the issue is though, the folks that, it would shut up would never experience that. They would never go see it.
That's true. They probably wouldn't see it first place. But it was, I do have to fault the movie for something. I never liked the pretense. I know it's supposed to be a true story, but I sat there and watched it with my son and I was like, this makes no sense. It's supposed to be about the first black cop in Colorado Springs, and he becomes a detective and is going to infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan. He calls them and tries to join over the phone, and then has to send a white guy, and he does the voice on the phone. It's like, so you need a white guy to join the Ku Klux Klan. Why did we ever need you at all? It makes no sense whatsoever. But it was good. It's pretty good.
So we have to promo the 2018 Poobah Awards are coming out.
I've been watching a lot.
Before in a few weeks' time. I mean, we're into award season now.
We do it at the end of January.
Right.
Then in January, I have time.
You have had time to see all the recent movies.
I'm at 63.
Before the Oscars, we get the Poobah Awards. We've done that for the last few years.
Count them down. Seth
counts down all the movies he watched this year, and it's always a good time. And I've learned a lot of movies that I'd like to see.
I'm going to tell you up front that I happen to know Jordan is doing a more extensive watch than he has in previous years.
I'm trying to be somewhat useful.
So he has stepped into the analog machine and gotten a disc subscription to Netflix.
I told somebody that today. They were talking about what they've been up to. I got a Hulu. I had Hulu for a while, but I switched to this. I was like, let me tell you where I'm at. I just got a disc mailed to me. And he froze. He's like, I forgot Netflix ever did that.
Yeah.
They still do that? Like, he was flummoxed.
You're living in 1998.
But I'm telling you, it's great.
Yeah, it is great.
It's great. You get a free month. Go to Netflix, click a tab you've never clicked on before that says DVD. Mm-hmm. You can sign up for a free month, and it's all the new stuff. I just got 8th grade. Checked it out. That's going to be high on the Poobah's list, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I might do that every year. November, December, you get all these, because when the Oscars come out, the Independent Spirit Awards, the Golden Globes, I never have seen these movies yet.
Right.
Because I don't Redbox, and they're not available to stream a lot of places unless you're, buying, on demand or whatever. I'm way too cheap to do that.
Yeah, so
send me them
I'm
discs.
excited about the list this year. You had seen like 15 or 20 last year. I'm expecting more. So we'll see.
But the reason I signed up for that is because I'm getting toward the end of the 100 Essential Movies.
Oh, man.
As found on lowwords.wordpress.com. You talk over
every time.
That's my cue. I know when I'm supposed to talk.
So, yeah, I'm down to really the wire here. So I ended September at 72. Which is 3/4 of the way through the year.
Man, it's creeping up.
Slip the skates on.
And like my normal pace, I got 9 in October.
I think you were going to say 9.
I think the last 4 months I've got 9 movies.
Were you riding a half pipe? What the hell were you doing?
I was eating Fizzy Rocks. So I'm at 81.
Oh man, I thought. Whew.
So I got that leaves me 19 the last 2 months. That's 9 1 month and 10 1 month. I just gotta get over the hump. So this October was my month of epics. I got some of the really long ones out of the way.
Okay.
I started with Raiders of the Lost Ark. Not a long one, but a great one.
Yeah.
One of our favorites. Then I went to Titanic, which I had never seen before.
What? Are you serious?
Somehow
oh my gosh.
I got through the 90s having never seen Titanic.
Wow.
It was fine. I liked it.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I knew everything that happened.
I would think. Yeah.
The boat sank.
We all did. We all did.
I knew Billy Zane and all his jazz. Then, from 1931, City Lights, the Charlie Chaplin movie, as the tramp, his famous character. I'd never really seen the Charlie Chaplin movie, so it was fun to watch. This one, it's very famous for a boxing match he does. And it's just a hilarious,
is that the only one on the list of his? Because I always hear Gold Rush is...
Yeah, this is the only Chaplin movie.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
So, yeah, he's kind of bouncing around the ring and, hiding behind the referee. And, I knew I'd seen that clip before. It was very famous. And it was funny. I mean, physical slapstick humor does not age whatsoever.
Yeah.
Even though, a lot of the other stuff does. But, yeah, it was good stuff. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jack Nicholson movie.
Yep.
I'd seen several times before, but it's a good one to rewatch. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That was 1969. That's the same year The Wild Bunch came out. So that's, we had decades of westerns that were kind of by the numbers, and these were the two that kind of pushed westerns forward a little bit. And it was Paul Newman and Robert Redford's first team up, and just that. I think this is where, Lethal Weapon or Bad Boy, any of the buddy action movie. I think that's where this started.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lawrence of Arabia, another one I hadn't seen.
Oh, you finally did that. I've never seen it.
It took me about 4 nights.
Sounds
just
painful.
In chunks. I said they're not bad. It's just, movies are different. They don't make movies like that anymore. They have intermissions and stuff.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
And it was good. There's a little bit of that British thing of bloody savages. We've got to colonize them. That's kind of British superiority. But then it turns on its head that he goes native basically, and is But again, it's still the wonderful British man has led us to victory and all this stuff. So there's a little bit of that, but. I don't know. I'm glad I watched it. It's not my favorite thing.
Hold that over me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then it was The Godfather and Godfather Part 2, both of them on the list.
I watched Godfather 6 or 8 months ago, and then Godfather 2 2 weeks ago. What did you think?
It's weird rewatching it. Talking about knowing the Titanic. Every scene of The Godfather, it. It's been either parodied or quoted by somebody. It's so crazy iconic. There's nothing in that movie that's a surprise anymore. Even though I haven't watched it in probably 10 years. It's weird that a movie can be that dissected and that well known.
Right.
And do you have an opinion on Godfather 2? A lot of people are it's even better than the first.
I like the first one better.
I do too. I said even though 2 is a little more, there are more surprises in it, it's not like that. One's a little more familiar, but 2, I don't know. De Niro was just kind of doing an impression.
Right, yeah. One's tighter. One's just a tight story.
Yeah. And And then finished up on Halloween watching Psycho.
Wow, it's been so long since I saw that.
And looking at this poster, I had a few in my mind when I wanted to watch it. I'm like, oh, surely they'll play Psycho October. Yeah. So October starts, I'm checking all the classic movie channels. Like, they're not playing Psycho. No one's playing Psycho. And like, it's like the last week of October. I'm like, how have they not played this movie? And I caught it. It was on BBC America one night. They played The Birds and Psycho and some other Hitchcock. And I'd missed like half of it. I'm like, no! Psycho! I've been waiting all month! And they reran it again like at midnight or something. So I caught it again. But, yeah. I hate using the word classic over and over again, but...
Right. But knowing... I mean, obviously, it's probably hard to watch it the first time without knowing the end, but... obviously knowing the end, how's it hold up nowadays?
Yeah, I think the psychology is a little iffy. Where it's like, his brain cracked. It's like they don't have a real good grasp on what would make a guy do this. Right. But it was pretty groundbreaking. I can't imagine going into that movie, 1960. This is Dick Van Dyke era. Mm-hmm. And seeing a woman brutally murdered. And again, very famously.
Shower scene.
Janet Leigh, that she's the biggest name in the movie. She gets killed off a half hour into it.
Yeah,
a movie had never done that before, and a very graphic scene that, at least in your head's very graphic. It doesn't show anything. The knife, it never shows the knife going into her skin or anything. But yeah, just one of those scenes.
Kool-Aid running down through the drain there.
So even if you've never seen Psycho, you know the re like that's just one of those most known pop culture images of all time. So yeah, it's not the best Hitchcock movie, but for a good a Halloween where we learn that begat the slasher films that followed. So it's an important one to see
if you have a poster,
right?
Yeah,
especially.
Yep.
Or if you go to lowords.com. I write about all these eventually. I was a little late. I think I just put September a couple of days ago, but I'll get to it. It's a lot of words.
Quit hounding him. I went and saw a movie today. Creed 2.
Yeah, I heard it was good.
Tell me all about it.
I only saw half of Creed 1.
Seriously?
I never saw Creed 1 either.
Yeah. I think I said before, it was the last movie I saw with my mom before she died. We took her to the theater, and it was... So I had that hanging over my head thinking before I go watch this, but I really liked the first one, and I liked it better on a rewatch. I watched it a couple weeks ago. And I was like, hey, Ryan Coogler is a really good director. Did Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan's great. He's even bigger in this one. Like they must have. They maxed out how big you can get Michael B. Jordan to be.
He can't fit through a shower.
No, he would. Damn broad shoulders. Anyway, I thought it was pretty good. I like the first one better.
How does it compare to Rocky IV? I mean,
is it different? It's different.
Yeah. That means not as well.
Well, no, it's a totally different bird. It's a much more modern movie than Rocky IV is so 80s. It's just an 80s American Cold War.
Montages everywhere.
Yeah.
It's great.
There's some montages in here, don't worry.
Did you see Dolph Lundgren on Colbert the other night?
I did not.
He wasn't a guest. He just came on. He played a character. I can't remember what it was. Something to do with Russia.
Oh.
It's like we have a Russian athlete, trainer, whatever, and out comes Dolph Lundgren. And of course, they work in the script so he says all his famous lines.
I must break you.
They said something about Donald Trump. He's like, is that his natural hair color? It's like, if he dies, he dies. And of course, all I can think of is Cliff Barnes' amazing Dolph Lundgren impression.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. They definitely were trying to, pander to the Rocky IV crowd.
So how much screen time does Dolph Lundgren have? Is it just a cameo, or is he a fleshed out character?
He's a character.
Good.
He's not huge, but he's there, and he is a character in the movie for sure. And I like what he was, but I didn't like some of the line stuff. There was a lot of him saying those lines.
Where is Rocky? Where is Rocky to you? Like, I know some folks that, I mean, they love Rocky movies.
I think it's Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
I like Rocky. I grew up on Rocky.
Is it pretty high for you?
I remember, I have memories of watching Rocky movies on New Year's Eve. I remember, we would get together with this other family. I remember me and these other boys sitting in a room watching Rocky movies all night. I like Rocky.
It was on my poster.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. But I mean,
Rocky 4 is on the poster.
Yeah, is Tommy Gunn. I was like Rocky 5.
Yeah, I like Rocky 5. I may be the only person that likes Rocky 5, but I do. The street fight.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. But yeah, I like that. I hate to complain about the crowd, but I'm gonna complain about it. Yeah, I got in there and this guy came in late, and he was so mad, and he came in and he was had a tap out shirt on in the first place. He comes in late, sits down right across the aisle from me, kicks the back of the seat. He's so pissed off that he's late, throws his keys on the ground, smashes them down, turns his phone on. And I'm about ready to say something, except he's enormous.
Sir, you're going to tap out.
You're Rocky. You're Rocky in that moment.
And I was just like, you listen here, buddy. Don't make me say something so you can hear me. I was like, I really want to say something to this guy, but he's 7 times as big as me. And he turns his phone on, and it was such a, I was so bewildered by it because he had it on the screen where you could adjust the brightness. And he was purposely going to turn the brightness down in his fit. And then he had it on that screen lit up, lighting the whole theater up with it while he ate nachos. I was like, are you turning down that brightness or not? I didn't know what to do.
You had to go to see his nachos.
I don't know. It was weird. Mm-hmm. Then he settled down eventually. Got over it. But it was crazy. Anyway, whatever. It was pretty good. It had its pandering throughout, but still, I always kept waiting for the music to kick in certain points, and again, I think Michael B. Jordan's good. Rocky was Rocky, and Drago was Drago, so you'll like it.
Yeah.
And you got out to the theater, didn't you?
Oh, you did go see something. You and
Carly
go to your room, Carly.
Yeah, she didn't have to stay in her room. We went to the theater.
Cool.
We saw Bohemian Rhapsody. Of course, the Queen biopic. Now, the first thing I will admit, I am I have been a Queen fan for a long time.
Now everyone.
Talk about gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping.
But when I was younger and in high school and in my 20s, when everybody was listening to hip hop and grunge and all that stuff, we listened to a lot of Queen.
I love Queen.
Yeah. So I've been anticipating this movie coming out for a long time and really excited about it, and just hadn't had the chance to get out and see it. I was, we talked earlier. I was a little worried about it, thinking, "Oh, this is going to be, just a big puff piece and
cookie cutter biopic."
Yeah. But I will say I did enjoy it. Rami Malek plays Freddie Mercury in it, and he's really good.
Really?
That's really what I've
heard. I heard that he sent an audition tape to the band, because the band's super involved in it. That's the one thing that made me leery. They're not going to say too much bad about them.
No.
Because they were so involved in it. But that he sent an audition of him singing, and they never saw it. Something happened with the transmission, and they didn't get to see it. So when he did audition for them live or whatever, they had never seen him before, and he didn't know that or whatever. But they were really blown away.
He was excellent. I mean, there are a couple scenes in it where you almost have to take a dump. You forget it's an actor portraying.
Yeah,
Freddy. But yeah, I mean, overall, you come out of it feeling pretty good. It did exactly what I thought it was going to do. It starts. I knew it would end at Live Aid. 85 Live Aid, the Queen performance is highly considered one of the greatest rock performances ever anywhere on the planet. So I knew that was probably going to be the ending of it, and that's pretty much what happened. But yeah, I mean, as far as those type of movies go, I was saying my son took his girlfriend to see it like the first week it came out. He had come home, told me he really liked it. He likes Queen, as much as a 18-year-old does these days. And he said he really liked it. He had an experience in the theater. He said there was an older couple sitting down in like a seat away from him in the same row in their tap out shirts. And he said, yeah, he's like, they were like in their 50s. It was like they lived through this. They should have known, every time there was like, two men kissing on the screen, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they put this in this movie. What are we watching?" And just like, verbally putting it out there. And he, him and his girlfriend, they're 18, they're kind of immature, and they're giggling at these old people, like, "Oh, you're so old, and
you're so old people.
Your backwards ways." But yeah, Carly went and saw it. She, I didn't say anything during the movie because I was afraid Seth may be lurking somewhere and would yell at me.
Shut up!
Yeah. He'll pop out at you at any time.
Right. I'll force feed you the rest of your popcorn.
Yeah, we didn't get any popcorn because, you never know. But we saw it in Marietta. We saw it because it's been out for a while. That little teeny tiny little theater on the end. Yeah, 7. Ended up in there. But we were the only ones in the theater, so we had the whole place to ourselves, kind of spread out. We could do whatever we wanted.
Except eat popcorn.
Except eat popcorn.
I might be there.
At one point, I pulled out my phone. I was like, ooh, I don't want to turn the brightness up or anything.
I'll be there.
But, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought everybody in it was fine. It gives you little touches on what you expect. The beginning of the band, Freddie becoming Freddie, writing songs, concert footage, and how they made it big. There's a scene, though, Mike Myers is in this movie. Mm. And Mike Myers plays an older record executive. And he has a line where they had went and recorded Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's the B-side of the record. And the record company wants to release this song that the drummer wrote called I Love My Car, that the band hates. The other 3 members hate this song. And he's, he says it's 6 minutes long. No radio station's going to play it and all this, There's no way this will ever do anything. And he says, and they're trying to convince him. And Mike Myers finally, he said, this just isn't a movie that you're going to listen to in your car on the radio and bang your head to. So
nice.
Yeah. So I liked it.
Yeah.
If
I may go watch it on vacation here this week if I run out of stuff to watch. I went and saw that movie Widows. Steve McQueen, director. I think he did 12 Years a Slave. It's like a heist movie, but it's super serious and well acted. And I think I'll probably go see it again here in the next week or two because I was kind of tired when I saw it, and I don't feel like I was totally tuned into it. But I liked what I saw, and it's just well acted and well directed. He can shoot a movie, and it's good stuff. All right. That should do it for some movies. Let's stream.
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
Don't cross the streams.
Islands in the stream, that is what we are.
Cross the streams.
Well, one of the best movies of the year just came out on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet.
I have.
Of course, we're talking about Kurt Russell in the new Santa Claus, right?
Right.
I assumed as much.
You gonna do something else or just stand there and bleed? No, the Coen Brothers, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like we talked about a long time ago. We heard that was
supposed to be a TV series.
Yeah, so it was six chapters basically, made up one movie, a little over 2 hours. And each one was completely different, had different sets of actors, a different story. There was no real through line to it. So it felt like a 6-episode series, but they called it a movie.
Cliff, one of the best parts, I thought of you. One of them, James Franco.
Oh, boy.
Jumps over the bank partition in a bank robbery and in his duster. I thought, and he just looked so cool. I was like, Cliff would love this.
Yep.
You
know me so well.
I know.
I bet he turned around and grinned right for the camera.
Oh, man.
He didn't really look like Franco. It took me a second. Like, that's Franco, right? Because he wasn't prettied up at all.
Yeah.
He looked like a grizzled
eating his own face.
No. a little
it was like he had already eaten it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we had James Franco, Tim Blake Nelson, David Krumholtz, Clancy Brown, Stephen Root, Liam Neeson, Tom Waits, Zoe Kazan, Brendan Gleeson, Hamish, and Tyne Daly,
Hamish,
among many, many other actors.
Is she Cagney or Lacey?
I don't remember.
I've never wanted to know. It's like Zach and Cody.
So my main advice, if you haven't watched it yet, all the trailers and things say, from the creators of True Grit and No Country for Old Men. Well, it's not that.
Yeah.
It should have said, from the creators of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It is much more that feeling. There are some more outlandish comedy or broad, silliness. But then there's some dark stuff too, but it is not a serious, realistic Western by any stretch.
No.
It is more like parables or Old West mythology kind of deals.
It's the most, when you think of a storybook Western look, it's like, this is their talent, to put something on screen that is so beautiful and so, just picturesque Western. I was talking about with Nick, in the Zoe Kazan one, the one guy, they're sitting there on their horses, the two cowboys, and the older guy's horse just constantly flops his head and like he's trying to shake off a fly. Like they had to have got a horse that did that. So, because it's such a Western horse thing to have one of them doing that. It's just like everything was, I don't know, stereotypical Western things or whatever, but beautifully done. I love the look of it.
And the first one, Tim Blake Nelson is. The way he speaks, he almost talks like George Clooney in Old Brother, like very verbose and uses words that no one ever uses. But I was like, oh, the language is so wonderful. Yeah. And there's a couple of them that are just, I love the way they use words, and I'm just enjoying it as it's happening. And then they do the Liam Neeson one, and there's barely any dialogue. And then Tom Waits shows up, and he just kind of grunts. And he says almost nothing the entire time. So they can go. They could have been silent films right alongside these ones that are just beautiful, florid script writing.
Yeah,
I don't know. As soon as it ended, I just kind of grinned. I was just like, that happened. I'm just happy that happened, and I wanted to watch it again right away.
What was your favorites? What were your top two?
The Tim Blake Nelson one is when I knew I was in. The first one. The shocking thing that happens.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, yes, I'm in. So I loved that. I loved the take on the singing cowboy idea. That corny 50s, rhinestone cowboy kind of thing. But I love the Tom Waits one a lot too. That, speaking of beautiful, vistas and just gorgeous looking.
Yeah. My favorite one was the Zoe Kazan one because I just loved the story. I loved that it had. I mean, there was a couple of them that I was like, "What?" Well, I mean, I get what the message was. Just like there wasn't an end, or there wasn't.
But I love short stories.
Yeah.
Because these, they said that one was probably the only one that could have been a feature length movie. The rest of these were just little bite size, things. They weren't they didn't have to mean anything or end up anywhere. So yeah, I love that idea.
I feel like the message, I was telling you, I feel like the message of this was just like, life's tough. Guess what? It's not going to work out for you. And that just felt like that's what they all happened. It was just like, you're going to die. It's going to suck, you know. But it's beautifully told.
You could probably say that about any Coen Brothers movie.
Right, yeah. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really did.
I watched a few episodes we talked about before it came out. The new She-Ra.
She-Ra and the
Princesses of Power, yes. Which is getting really good reviews. So I watched a few episodes of it, and I think it's pretty good. Like, I did not think I would like the animation.
That's my sticking point. The animation didn't look great. But
yeah. The whole design of the show itself, I was like, this looks cheap. This looks way too kiddie for me. I mean,
She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is a little too kiddie.
Right. Like,
hot take.
You know how those 80s cartoons were? They all had that...
They had some depth to them.
Yeah, they had that look to it. You know, they didn't look, like a 4-year-old drew it. But, they've made some changes. This is no longer just a 30-minute toy commercial like they were back then. And they've changed the origin story a bit. Everything is mostly the same, with the exception of, at least from my memory, how she finds the sword. Originally it was a crossover movie they did with He-Man, as she was his twin sister, and he took the sword to her. She had been lost over on this other planet, that type of thing, stolen by the evil horde. In this one, starting out, we don't get that explanation. She is an orphan.
Have they written He-Man completely out of it, or were there any?
Yeah, they absolutely have. Okay. At least for now, from what I've seen. In the beginning, we just, we see her. She's being raised by the horde to be the force captain, the evil army captain, so they can vanquish the Whispering Wood to further, their cause of taking over the planet is basically, what it is. And, but we get a little bit new origin, how she accidentally finds the sword. It's not given to her, discovers what it does, transforms her, and, and she's been chosen to be the new She-Ra. There apparently was a She-Ra before her type thing.
I'm guessing there's a bigger supporting cast. They put them right in the title.
Yeah.
There's other princesses involved.
Exactly. So they definitely have, more personality, more depth in what they're doing. And the princesses, they all have a special power, also. And She-Ra doesn't just show up to save the day. Like, she screws up. And when she transforms, she becomes like an 8-foot huge lady with this enormous hair.
Okay.
So they've added that to it. Okay. But yeah, I mean, all together, I just want to say it's good. If you have little kids, especially little girls, I would sit them down and be like, check it out. That type of thing. So, yeah.
We had new episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000 came out on Thanksgiving.
This is the one with Jonah Ray?
Yes.
Okay.
6 new episodes, so they're a little under 2 hours. They play the whole movie. Because they always did the famous Turkey Day marathons when it was on network TV. So they used Thanksgiving to drop new ones. And the first one on there is Mac and Me.
Oh, my
Do you
Lord.
remember that movie?
Oh, yes.
As an E.T. fan, I'm sure you love off-brand E.T. as well.
Loved it.
So that's like the most known movie I've ever seen them do. Mm-hmm. Like, people know that movie. That's weird that they would go there.
People like us know that movie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that one. And did we all watch the Adam Sandler stand-up?
Yeah, because I can't remember if it was on the podcast or we were talking off-show. We were talking about it because I had watched about half of it, not quite half of it.
It's called 100% Fresh.
Right. And my first impression was, it's not great. But I went back later and I don't know if I just wasn't in a good mood that first time I watched it or what. Went back, rewatched the entire thing, and loved it.
Well, he's got to deal with Netflix, right? So he's cranked out a lot of content for Netflix. Yeah. But this, as far as I know, is his first stand-up in a long time.
I didn't get the vibe that this was I have to fill a Netflix hole.
Because they filmed in a lot of different locations.
Yeah, he seemed to be on tour.
It was, it was, well, that's how they develop an act. They go from small venues to bigger, and that's what this was. They showed footage where when you watch another stand-up thing, they try to hide the fact that so many parts of what you're seeing are from different showings. This was blatantly in your face. He would tell the same joke over and over and show him,
it would show him mess up a thing. Oh, we better start over.
Yeah, until it's developed into something more funny, and there was a lot of I'd say just stupid or gross or off color, and that's Adam Sandler.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you sign up for in the first place. That's what we were laughing at 20 years ago, so I liked it. I thought a lot of stuff was my favorite thing is the we need a hero, someone to save us song he kept, because the songs were like 15 seconds.
Yeah, they were very just short.
Yeah,
one
ideas.
Little punchline.
It was like they were like a
Get
little
to the
jingle.
punchline. That's the song. Yeah. This is the punchline. But that was one of the longer ones. Was we need a hero, someone to save us, and he's volunteering even though he knows nothing about whatever. That was hilarious.
Can anyone fly a plane?
Right. I'll do it. You go. Yeah, that's hilarious.
But you got me to watch it by you said the ending really hit your nostalgia button. And I those last two songs he did were wonderful.
It was not, and it wasn't the first one that blew me away. Mm-hmm. There's we won't spoil that, but there was a nostalgia, like a tribute thing with.
Well, we got I gotta say, my brother Justin is a huge Chris Farley fan.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So yes, Justin, the one listener we have out there, watch at least the last 15 minutes of this Adam Sandler thing. He does basically a song about his buddy Chris Farley. And it's
that song's been out.
Oh, okay.
It's been out for. I'd heard that song before, but
this I'm sure that it came after he'd actually filmed all this stuff and that was good. It wasn't like the best song I ever heard in my life, but it was nice just to see the emotion. It meant he wanted to do a tribute.
Yeah,
and that was great. And then, but what really got me emotional a little bit, brought some tears was the last song, and I'd heard that song before too, but just
Where
what he
do you
said.
guys hear all this Adam Sandler material?
I don't know.
You guys are like cutting edge.
Osmosis somewhere. I've heard it.
Well, the last song is in.
It must be on something.
No, it's on. What's the movie with Drew Barrymore?
51st
The Wedding
Dates?
Singer.
Oh, it's that. That is what it is. Yeah. But he had written.
I thought it was called 100% Fresh.
Yeah,
not songs from 15 years ago.
Well,
it was a song he had written for his wife, but this time when he was singing it felt like it was just to us, to end, and you could tell he was feeling it. This stuff meant something to him, and I don't know if you were ever an Adam Sandler fan, and you, like me, have kind of lost faith in him over the years. This is a nice welcome back, at least for this moment. I really enjoyed it. So made me have some good feels about him again, and not feel like he was phoning it in. And
yeah, because that's the knock on him lately has been he just hurries up and puts out crap and with all his buddies and cashes the check. But this seemed like him having fun again at comedy.
Right.
And there was a really good documentary on Netflix. I'd apparently missed the first one. The series is called Remastered. So earlier this year, Remastered 1 was called Who Shot the Sheriff? And it's a documentary about Bob Marley. There's an assassination attempt against Bob Marley in 1976. So I had apparently missed that one. I would like to watch it. Sound interesting. But Remastered 2 is called Tricky Dick and the Man in Black, a Johnny Cash story. So this was, I think it was right around an hour or so. It's about the 1970 invitation to the White House that Johnny Cash got. And it lays out, the Nixon administration. He was having some troubles connecting to voters, the whole Southern strategy of winning the South. And it was kind of a cynical move of Nixon to say, we need the hillbillies on our side. Who do they like? Get that Johnny Cash guy. So they could invite him to the White House, shake his hand, and be like, hey, we got a real country and western star here. But he didn't know Johnny Cash all that well. So he asked him to come and sing 2 songs. He specifically, come to a concert, but I'd really love to hear the 2 songs, Okie from Muskogee, which is the Merle Haggard song about we don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee, we don't burn our draft cards, we salute the flag, about being a good American. And the other one is a song by a guy named Guy Drake called Welfare Cadillac. And it's about welfare cheats who, I don't have a job and I'm too lazy to work, but I got me a nice Cadillac. And Johnny was torn because he was never political, but he had values. He never endorsed a candidate. He wasn't a Democrat, Republican, but he sung at prisons and, worried about oppressed people, but he was ultra patriotic and, would never stand for burning the flag or anything like that. So he, like most of us, had complex thoughts and feelings about these things. And here's his president asking him to do something. And it's like, well, do I do? That's against really how I feel. They're not my songs.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, just invite Madonna to come sing. Yeah. Right. Do you know any Debbie Gibson? You're like, that's just it's a weird thing to ask. Anyway, shows his knowledge of country music. So, it kind of traces Nixon's point of view there and Cash's point of view. And there's a lot of people from relatives to band members and things like that. And so, we get his performance of What is Truth, which is a story he had just written there that, again, is a timeless story about old people not understanding the young kids today who are, these kids are going to be running things in a while and we can't dismiss what they think. So right to Nixon's face, he sang a song. He didn't sing those. I'm spoiling the documentary, but sang a really beautiful song about questioning power and not doing what you're told. So
I watched it after you suggested.
Sweet,
it's good.
I thought you were gonna, when you said you watched documentary, I thought you were gonna talk about Walt, the man behind the myth.
I saw that on there today, and I was like, I bet somebody's seen it.
I sat down and watched it, and it's pretty.
Does it? Oh wait,
everything's pretty on the surface about it. It doesn't get too deep. No, we don't get very deep.
You were like typing your rebuttal. Yes, dear filmmakers, I believe you have left out too many important details.
Yeah. For your casual fan, I'm sure it's fine.
He suggested it to you.
Yeah. You guys might learn something. But,
the hell I will. I refuse to learn anything. I watched a couple things I watched. I tried to watch House of Cards season 6.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into it yet.
I've enjoyed all the other seasons.
Me too.
Yeah. And I watched this. I burnt through 4 episodes, maybe 5, and was just like, wait a minute, I'm not enjoying this. And then I left it for a few days and came back and tried to watch another episode, and I was like, I'm still not enjoying this, and never returned. It's just super ridiculous. I always liked that show too. And I watched an entire series on Prime. Sat down, started it, watched the whole thing, one setting. Was Homecoming with Julia Roberts.
That one's got a lot of press. They're really pushing that one.
It's good.
For Julia Roberts' first kind of TV
she does
series.
She does a really good job. Guess what? Julia Roberts, not a bad actress. Kind of a pretty woman. But anyway, it's super serious. She's playing a counselor that transitions guys coming back from war, trying to help get them prepared for a normal life and not have to deal with PTSD and all that. And simultaneously, it's showing her work at a diner a few years later. And it's
not a pizza parlor?
No, it's not a pizza parlor. No, it wasn't no mysticness. I get what you're saying there. But it's it was good. It was like kind of a mystery, like what the heck is going on? You don't know what's going on. And it's got Shea Wiggum, I like him, and Anyway, I really don't want to spoil it. If you have, it's really short. It's on half-hour episodes, 10 half-hour episodes. If you have Prime, watch it. You know, it's good. The music in it is only from other movies, like 70s movies, and it's really interesting. It's got like a 70s vibe to it. A lot of the decorations are 70s and things, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it. Or something else. Oh, there's that Romanoff anthology series on Prime also, that was Matthew Weiner that did Mad Men, created and directed, I believe, and it's all every story has something to do with the Romanoff family, tangentially, very distantly, but a lot of good stories. And there's only one episode left that I haven't seen, and I've enjoyed most of it. Anything else streaming you guys watched?
Nope. TV.
Oh, Dolores.
What the hell is a sticky maple?
Run, fairy, run! That's what I do. I dream, and I know things.
Go get him, Supergirl.
Well, what this guy look like, anyway?
Oh, he's a little guy, kind of funny looking.
Uh-huh. In what way?
Oh, just in a general kind of way.
Exterminate!
Little pig, let me in.
These violent delights have violent ends.
That's what she said.
Groovy.
We hadn't mentioned it, but did you guys see that Kelly Ripa is coming to Riverdale?
Mrs. Consuelos?
Yes.
Dios mío.
To play
Madre de Dios.
Yes, to play Hiram's mistress.
Jeez.
Or crossing lines.
Well, that sounds right. I think this is right.
Well, they got their son on there, right?
Yeah, as well. I have the whole family.
You know what show people love?
Legends of Tomorrow?
No one loves that one.
Oh, just us.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
I hate that.
It has been renewed for season 7.
They haven't even had season 6.
Yeah, season 6 has not premiered yet. They've already renewed it for season 7.
Ugh.
And I just read an article. There's an analytics company, I guess, Parrot Analytics, people who crunch numbers. They did a report for Screen Rant where they looked at the brand of different shows, like the reach they have. Ratings are so nebulous. Like, it's not the 60s and 70s anymore. It's not just mom and dad in front of TV. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is stronger than all the Marvel Netflix shows and most of the stuff on TV. It is in the top 0.03% of TV shows worldwide. When you are considering things like, file sharing, peer-to-peer traffic, social media activity, what people are tweeting about and posting about and sharing and streaming. This show is toward the top of anything on TV. I refuse to believe that.
Nobody's tweeting about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's that.
I'm on Twitter. I don't see a bit of it.
The reach of Disney's ABC network.
They might be stupid enough to watch it.
That's ABC famously was wanting to cancel it because the ratings aren't great. So maybe Disney was looking. Yeah, it's like a baseball
team. Even I got conned into watching that finale of season 5.
See, you helped the analytics.
I know.
And we've been talking about it. Yep. They're hearing how many
Listen
podcasts.
To us, yeah. Alexa's in there picking all this up too. Probably she's going to tell us that.
Alexa, shush.
Ridiculous.
No, it's like more like there's baseball teams now look into the analytics. It's not just batting average and ERA. Like you have to look at all the data that's out there, and data don't lie. People like the Shield. And it's got them 2 more seasons. They're abbreviated seasons. They're not full 20-some episodes, but Shield is more Shields are coming.
Now, Coulson's going to be back in Captain Marvel, right?
Right, in the flashback.
Cool. Is that it?
And a show no one watches, Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah. We haven't talked for a little bit.
No one's favorite.
Yeah, it's plugging along. This series, this season, I was getting a little worried about, which I'm still a little worried about, but I mean, story-wise, I was like, man, the team's kind of depleted, and
Seth leaves the room.
Yes, as Seth leaves the room.
We can talk about anything.
Yeah. But yeah,
so in my note, I've got 4 episodes we haven't talked about.
Okay.
I keep track. I watch TV with a notebook.
Yeah,
I don't have I don't have Seth's cool notebook. Yeah. But I write all this stuff down just to keep track. I'm not going to go over every detail of every episode, but I like to keep in my head. So, yeah, we talked about the premiere. The second episode was the Salem Witch Trials.
Yeah.
We had the fairy godmother. I assume you like Disney.
That was good.
The Disney godmother there.
She was the magical creature they were trying to send back to hell.
There were a few bippity-boppity Easter eggs and stuff. The fun stuff in that one, we had the Bebo blocks on the phone as an app. And did you notice the Red Tornado's helmet on the shelf?
No.
Ma Hunkle's pot.
Oh, yeah. The original.
That was on the shelf in the ship.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it was in the background of one of the scenes I noticed. So that was fun. And after that, we got London in 1977.
Yep.
The Queen is at a punk show, stage diving and stuff.
And Ray, who is the resident, straight guy, he decides he's going to be a punk.
So this one we have the shapeshifter, who I thought this was the cheapest thing of the season.
Yeah, I do not like this.
She shapeshifts into Amaya.
Yeah.
And then she gets stuck that way.
Yeah. John Constantine uses the voodoo magic to make her stay that way.
So we can bring that actress back in a totally different role.
Because her storyline played out.
Yeah, and she had to go back to her time.
Yeah, but we like that actress, so we're just going to keep her on the show to play a different character. Yeah. Unrelated to anything.
I haven't warmed up to her yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
No. But that one had the fun little Easter egg. Gary, they had Taco Monday at the Time Bureau.
Yeah.
He said, "You have Taco Monday?" He says, "Dare to defy."
Yeah.
Which is the CW. The catchphrase for CW is "Dare to defy." Speaking of Easter eggs, this was my favorite maybe ever. Episode 4 was the summer camp in 1995. It begins, what's her name? Sarah.
Yeah.
And
Ava
are laying in bed wanting to watch a movie, and they were watching Swamp Thing.
Yeah, Swamp Thing.
And they're like, "How?" It's a rubber monster, and it's
so bad.
And she quotes, and they're asked, I forget. She asks, "Does anyone like this movie?" Whatever. And she said, AV Club gave it a D+ review.
Yeah.
And they said the production design is as lazy as the action staging. And Sarah goes, "Harsh," which is an actual AV Club review of a season 1 episode of Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is so amazing. And the AV Club, when that happened, they're like, "Guys, they mentioned us."
Yeah.
They were so excited that they quoted their awful review of this show.
I mean, as bad as people say this show is, the writers are having so much fun with it. They are completely taking everything in stride and just like, you know what? We may not be here tomorrow. Let's just do whatever the hell we want to do.
At that point, there's nothing to lose. Right. Just do whatever you want to do.
I mean, a lot of superhero shows could really learn a little something from Legends right now.
And our most recent one was Taguma Attacks.
Yes. The Kaiju episode.
Which, about halfway into this, I'm like, I'm not really into this. But then the ending, again, it got me back on board.
Yeah, so there's this Celtic book that this Japanese man, who we find out is, basically the creator of Godzilla.
It's Ishiro Honda, the real-life director of Godzilla.
Yeah. So they went back.
We had George Lucas on the show, now we can have...
Right. So they went back into, what was it, the 50s? Yeah. And he's found this ancient magic book, this Celtic book, which, if he writes in it, the things he writes become real. Well, we've been playing the long game with Mick, Rory, and his writing stories, and he's writing a book.
His fantasy romance novel.
Yes, which are completely ridiculous. And in order to save the day, Mick we've got this big monster we have to defeat, and Mick comes up with a hero, and it's this purple 3-boobed samurai warrior woman to fight the kaiju monster. And in the middle of the battle, the director from the original director from Godzilla grabs his camera and they're on the cityscape and it's the first kaiju movie and he's just like, it's beautiful.
Like the miniature
cities,
they've
got the planes flying on the strings and it was great.
Was there a Total Recall quote in there anywhere? Yeah.
With the 3 boob?
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point he said I was going to go I was going to add another boob, and somebody goes 3 was enough.
Well, we also add Nora Dark back to the mix.
Yeah.
She goes back to magic through the love of Ray and his belief in her. And then we've had that weird food delivery lady show up a couple of times.
Yeah.
And they seem to be wanting to add her to the cast. And just miraculously, she saves the day through delivering food because the monsters were just hungry. So,
and there's
food delivery lady saved the day.
There's a great what's the guy that plays Biff?
Oh, Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson's in the season. He plays one of the hero's dad, Steel, and he's a big government official and military and he's kidding around with at Thanksgiving, and he completely throws out the Biff Tannen line, just direct quotes. Let's make like a tree and leave line, and I was like, yes.
And Nate's like, I don't think that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun superhero television. That's what I love. It's great.
Have you been keeping up on Flash at all?
I'm not fully caught up.
Well,
catch me up.
Again, they're sort of a lot of these shows. We introduce the main villain, and then we spend all season dealing with it. And that's why I love Legends. Just jumps from here to there. There's
it's all
an overarching thing, but all the episodes kind of stand alone. I can say, the summer camp episode. You know exactly what it is. Flash isn't quite doing that. We introduced several characters. Cicada, we said, was the main villain.
Guy from American Pie.
Yeah, he kind of makes a weird chirping noise, and he has a dagger that can negate your power, so we don't know where that came from. But we had Block showed up, who creates the concentrated jello cubes of air, basically. With Sherlock Wells, have you seen the new version of Harrison?
Even my kids were like, this is ridiculous.
He's the detective named Sherlock Wells.
But he's French.
Yeah.
Good luck keeping up that accent.
Brought in Spin, which I don't know if that's a real DC villain or not. She can use the media and like her blog can brainwash you.
Maybe that's something newer.
And we learned that Nora was given a power dampening chip when she was a kid from Iris to keep her from using her super speed, which is why Nora and Iris had this falling out. And she's like, I haven't even done that yet. You can't be mad at me. So the whole mother-daughter thing. And then 2 episodes ago, we introduced Ragdoll. Secret Six, Suicide Squad. Has been a lot of.
Yeah. Okay. You've lost me now. I haven't gotten this far.
Okay, but you know who Ragdoll.
Yeah, I know who the character is. Yeah,
it was pretty cool looking. Like they got an actual contortionist, and I'm sure some of it was special effects.
Yeah,
so it was pretty neat. And then we introduced Icicle. They find Caitlin. They find Caitlin's dad.
Oh, and
he is
Icicle.
He had
what?
He has his own freezing powers.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding
and
me!
We don't know if he's good or bad. Is he lying to Caitlin? Is he not? But in that episode, he's talking about he's a scientist working on this, freezing technology. And he mentions, my colleagues like Louise Lincoln and Victor Fries. So Louise Lincoln was the second Killer Frost.
Yeah, they've totally name dropped,
And obviously Mr. Freeze. So, again, we ties to the DC universe.
So that's where we are.
Large. Yeah, that catches
with
us
Flash.
Up. Yeah. But again, it's just every episode Cicada is trying to murder somebody else. And we throw in a new villain and something else happening and some family drama, but
it's just not Legends, man.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention, while we were in streaming, is DC's new DC Universe, the new streaming app.
Yeah.
I have access to.
You paid for it and everything?
Well, something like that. I have access to
it. Somebody paid for it.
Yeah. And I've been nosing around, and it's for the price. Not that I'm paying for that price, but It's not bad. I've been watching Titans. Today, this is Friday, the 24th of November, and the 7th episode of Titans just dropped today. Watched it.
They don't put them all out?
No, it's weekly.
Okay.
Every Friday you get a new episode. It's still... We all saw the trailer. If you haven't watched the show, it's the trailer. Like, it's trying to be this dark, gritty. At points, it's too gory. It's too dark. They're trying too hard at points. At other points, it's really good. It's almost every other episode. I'm like, I'll watch an episode. I'm like, hey, I really liked that. That was good. I like this and this part and this part and this part. Episode 2 or 3 is Doom Patrol. They're going to spin off and have their own series. And it was great. It was the Doom Patrol. Even Robot Man was what I would expect right off the page. I really enjoyed it. Then you get an episode or two that's really bad and just flat and doesn't do much. Then you get a Jason Todd episode. We introduce our second Robin and their interaction they've never met before. Their interaction, and he is a total punk like you would expect him to be. A total punk, because this Dick Grayson in this show is ultra violent. Like when he puts on the Robin costume, I mean, I don't know what happens, but he goes a little crazy and just beats the living snot and will kill people and all this stuff that you did not expect.
Alfred needs to wash his mouth out with soap.
Exactly. And that's what I don't like about it. And it's very obvious. I was talking to Michael today about how it's leading into Nightwing. But the big story is they found each other. Raven is the central character they're trying to protect. Okay. We haven't gotten a real origin for Starfire yet. All we know is her name is Corey. She has no memory of anything except she knows she's looking for Raven and has to protect her. Beast Boy only so far changes into a tiger because of budgets.
Sounds like Tiger Boy.
Yeah. Starfire doesn't fly. She doesn't look as bad as we thought she was going to look in the promo photos and all that. You get by it pretty quickly and she's fine. But yeah, the next episode next week, spoilers, they're introducing Donna Troy into the lineup, so we're gonna have a Donna Troy in it.
It seems like there's a lot of characters. Like you're halfway through the first season, and you've already getting a spinoff of Doom Patrol. Like, you think you'd want to put a core group in and develop them before you throw in all these guest stars.
And there are episodes that are very much that. The exception really was Doom Patrol, and that was a great episode.
It just made you want to watch a different show.
It did. I'm like, I was talking to Michael. We're like, man, we love Doom Patrol. Let's do Doom Patrol. Let's get that rolling. But then, like I said, that Jason Todd episode was really good. I really enjoyed the interaction between the two because they're talking about, we don't see Batman, or Bruce Wayne actually physically in the series, but they do a very good job of depicting the different relationships that Dick Grayson had with Batman and Bruce Wayne compared to the new relationship that Jason Todd has with Batman, and how Jason gets to do all these things that he never let Dick do.
Like a middle child. That never gets
yes,
to do.
Very much. There are things about, things that he did to Dick that Jason Todd knows all about that Dick Grayson doesn't even know about. We're just going to leave that there. But yeah, just want to talk very briefly about Titans. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's worth the watch. I think for the most part.
Have you checked out any of the digital comics,
animation,
or classic movies they got on there?
Yeah, there are quite a bit of comics. They do change them up enough. I don't think
for what you're paying for.
For what you're paying for, or not paying for. But yeah, I mean, there's a pretty wide selection.
Well, we should tell the story that Michael signed up accidentally.
Yes,
for the DC service. Did he tell you about that? Did he tell you how that happened?
Yeah. Well,
he just went to the site.
I don't know how it happened.
And he wanted to see how much it cost. So he was just clicking through all the forums.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he got to a page he couldn't go back on, and it somehow mysteriously entered in all his credit card information.
Yeah, they got all his we don't know how it happened. It was an accident.
Yeah.
But
so, whoops, I didn't mean to sign up for a year of this, but I did, so make the best of it.
Just happened, Christy.
Yeah. We don't know. But yeah, there's a wide selection.
I'm sticking to that story.
Yeah. Of digital comics to answer your question. They won't give you a full run. So they give you a little taste of it for the most part.
Is there anything on there with like comic shop locator service or for more, go to your local library or comic shop?
I wish I could say so. I really, really do.
Okay.
But they have a few movies. You can watch classic movies. You can watch
Swamp Thing on there?
No Swamp Thing. But Swamp Thing is coming. Sweet. The new series. But classic Superman, Batman, they have some animated movies that are more recent. I've watched some of those, the new Death of Superman movies on there. And they have classic stuff. You can go back and you can watch all the Super Friends seasons. You can watch all the Justice League Unlimited series. You can watch all the old, Fleischer 1940s Superman stuff. I mean, there's some really good stuff on there. There was in the late 70s almost a variety show called, it was a Super Friends gimmick, but it had like Burt Ward and Adam West, and they portrayed all these DC heroes. And it was like a spoof variety show for the most part, and that I've only seen on YouTube. And they put this on the app, and I sat down and I was loving it. It's so bad, it's wonderful. Like, I mean, they've got Hawkman and guys dressed up like Solomon Grundy. It's just ridiculous.
Again, for the kids of this generation not getting what limited things we had to work with back in the day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of content. There's a good amount of content that's only going to increase. They don't bombard you with so much you don't know what to watch at all, or you have trouble deciding what to watch or read, but it's a good starting point. There's enough. Good enough.
Did you have any TV, Seth?
I'll just say one thing. I watched this first season of a show that I had heard a little buzz about, but I didn't think I got it, but I guess it was on BBC America, which I didn't know I had. Or maybe I had it free for a week or something.
It's called Doctor
Who.
It's Doctor what? It was called Killing Eve, and it has Sandra Oh in it from Sideways, and Grey's Anatomy, I guess. If you watch that, but
I do not.
It was like she was it's British, and she was working for MI6, I guess it is, and there's some assassin killing people.
Sandra 07.
Ooh. Oh my gosh! If this wasn't the last thing on the show, that'd be a great time. Let's just chew on that. That was a great one. Anyway, I really liked it. It was kind of a weird humor to it, but there is this female assassin who I'd never seen the girl before, but she's a knockout and she does a great job. And almost like, I don't know. She's just an assassin, but it was almost like a serial killer feel to her.
Yeah.
It was just like brutal, but, and it's just her facing off against Sandra Oh as the detective trying to find her, and she's trying to get everybody to, she's figuring it out before all of the agency, and that kind of becomes personal. But it was a good first season. I really liked it.
You didn't watch while you were watching BBC America. Have you watched any of Doctor Who, the new?
No.
Oh, okay. I watched a couple episodes just to get a taste of it.
Oh yeah.
I keep hearing buzz. I keep hearing like, a powerful new episode, and like the reviews seem to be good from the critic,
and the ratings are fine. The early reports, people were trying to knock it down before it ever got a leg under it. Like, this new woman lady doctor has to go, and the ratings are awful.
Yeah,
and
I would have no problem with that. I'm just don't really like.
Yeah,
Doctor
no,
Who.
but I've watched a couple episodes. It's Doctor Who to me. I mean, it's perfectly fine. New companions, they're all great. Works for me.
Cool. Let's wrap it up.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Got a title?
Oh, title. Gatekeeping. 8-Foot Princess. Junior Washington. Or Sandra 07.
It's gotta
I feel
be.
like there was one in there earlier. I was like, that's the one, and I didn't write it down.
I think it's got to be Sandra 07 or Junior.
I don't know. Surprise us. We'll listen to it
Put
again.
on my shoulders.
We trust you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll pull something out.
So yeah, thanks again for listening. I'm sure this was a long one again, but
Couple hours.
yeah, we miss a few weeks. We got to cover some stuff,
That's
okay?
right.
And there's plenty more to go.
Oh,
so,
that just reminds me. You watched Gerald's Game.
yeah.
Oh,
Let's do a
wow.
bonus
Why does that
episode.
remind me? Who was
Oh,
in
me
it?
talking like Carla Gugino? Yeah, we saw Mr. Gugino in the movie.
Oh, well, you gotta say something about that.
I was going to talk about the Hill House as well, and then talk about
Oh.
Gerald's Game, so we can do that later.
Okay.
But she had a half hour or 30 seconds before this scene happens, I flash back to Seth saying something about this movie. That this was the most horrific thing he'd ever seen in a movie. I'm like, was this the movie he was talking? Oh my god, what just happened? So yes, the podcast almost prepared me for a horrible moment. So yeah, so this started somber and ended silly, but yeah, do you have Stan Lee's story? Have you ever met him? Did you go to a con? We'd love to hear.
Rub it in our faces.
Yeah, is there any
Put it in
interaction?
a iTunes review.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it. Put it on our Facebook, tweet it to us. What did Stan mean to you? Or which one of those characters we listed off has some personal significance? We that's my favorite thing that happened this week was hearing all these great stories about Stan and what he's meant to the world at large, but also very personal stories. So, yeah, if you've got a Stan story, we'll love to hear it. We'll read it on the air. We'll keep talking about Stan as long as we can. So, thank you for listening to this extra-length episode. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com.